Hey guys, so today we're kicking off the first content video for the core topic of the nature of religion and beliefs. So we're in the first subsection of this big topic, which is the nature of religion, and we're starting with one of the essential concepts we talked about in our introduction video, the supernatural dimension. So we need to look at religion as a worldview that acknowledges the supernatural dimension, and this comes directly from the Board of Studies syllabus. So this is also where any possible exam questions on this topic will be coming from. So we're going to stick really closely to this statement. So to cover this content, I'm going to divide this video into 3 parts, which will each answer a question. So firstly, we have to answer what is a worldview. Secondly, what is the supernatural dimension? And then thirdly, how do religions acknowledge the supernatural? So let's get started with our first question, what is a worldview? So the Board of Studies have used this word as a way to describe religion, and that's right, but we can go even further than that and say that a worldview can be defined as a framework or a lens which consists of a system of answers through which people understand the world. So let's break this down. You can think of a worldview like a pair of glasses with coloured lenses. When you put them on, you see the world in a particular way because it's been coloured by those lenses. So you see the world in line with what you believe. So a Christian views the world through a lens that sees Jesus Christ as the saviour of mankind, while a Buddhist sees the world differently, as a place where the Buddha is the embodiment of the goal of enlightenment. So thinking of the world as being something that exists only when people look through their own pair of glasses makes you understand how so many people live in the same world believing very different things, because their reality is dependent on what glasses they're looking through. So not all worldviews have to be religious, but religious worldviews are those that acknowledge the supernatural dimension. So that is a lovely little segue into the second major question we have to answer. What is the supernatural dimension? So we can generally say that it refers to a belief in a divine being or power which exceeds the limits of the human and physical worlds. So this is something that can't be explained by the natural laws of science or human nature. So this can be transcendent in nature, meaning it exists outside of and beyond the physical universe. Or it can be immanent, which means a divine force that pervades this universe and exists within it. But you don't have to worry about that just yet. That's just a little taster of what we're going to get into in our next few vids. So for now, let's get straight on and chat about our third question. How do religions acknowledge the supernatural dimension? So we can generally divide this into 2 major categories, the monotheistic and the polytheistic acknowledgements of the supernatural. So for monotheistic faiths like Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, the supernatural is acknowledged as one singular divine being, which is transcendent and therefore exists beyond the human dimension. For polytheistic faiths like Hinduism and Buddhism, the supernatural dimension instead is made up of an understanding of many divine beings or powers, which exist both beyond and within the natural world, so they can be either transcendent or immanent. So to give an example of how a specific religion acknowledges the supernatural dimension, let's look at Buddhism. So it's important here for us to go back to our introduction video and think about how we defined religion there, as a response to the human search for meaning. So in the context of Buddhism, Buddhists can fulfill this search through meditating on concepts like karma, the principle of cause and effect. And through this meditative practice, they can achieve a sense of ultimate meaning in their lives. So this is an example of the supernatural dimension acting within a person's life. So a quick side note here before we finish up. This really is a very general way to talk about religion. This is an introduction course, and so we're really only scratching the surface. So some religions can have both transcendent and immanent elements at the same time. Let's take, for instance, the evangelical strand of Christianity. So these are people that believe that Jesus enters their hearts and bodies, and this is described as a very physical thing. So while Jesus is the Son of God, and of course he exists beyond the physical dimension, by entering the hearts of evangelical Christians, he is also manifesting internally in the physical world, and so he's at the same time both an example of transcendence and immanence. So this is often given the term pantheism, meaning the divine being is both in and outside of the physical world. But this is just one example of how the study of religion is actually pretty complicated under the surface. But the practical takeaway from this for you guys is that you should never describe things as absolute in this subject. We should be using language like the world's major religions, or for example, starting a sentence with in general. So that's just a really good rule for you guys to be taking with you through this course. So we're going to dig even deeper into this in our next couple of videos. For now, guys, that's it. We've successfully answered 3 of the most foundational questions in this topic. So a quick summary of all we've gone through is up on screen now if you need that. I'll see you guys next time to keep kicking on with this first section on the nature of religion to talk about transcendence. So I'll see you then. Bye.